say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right, thank you. Once again, we thank each and every one of you individually and all of you together collectively for the co-creation of this interaction between our respective civilizations, and for giving us the opportunity to experience through each and every one of you another viewpoint, another perspective, another way that all that is has of experiencing itself within the creation that it is. We would like to begin this transmission, this day of your time, having titled it, The Metaphysics of Physics. And what we basically mean by this is that, as has been discussed many times from many different sources, the idea of physical reality is that it is a projection of consciousness. In a sense, it is like a dream. It isn't really out there around you. It isn't really solid in the classical meaning of that word. But the idea is that everything that exists in physical reality, in some way, shape, or form, begins within the consciousness as a resonance pattern, as a template, as a blueprint, if you will. And thus that blueprint, that energy pattern, is in a sense crystallized within the consciousness into the format that you perceive and experience as physical reality. Now the idea then is that, as we have discussed, and as have many of you realized, physical reality contains different kinds of reflections. The basic ones you would generally say are the positive and the negative, but then there is also the neutral, which is what makes physical reality not a duality, but a trinity. There is always the middle part, always the balance point. This is energetically what allows you to create the reality you prefer, because there is always going to be a way in which you can blend and balance the positive, the negative, coming from the neutral place in order to generate whatever kind of an experience that you prefer or that you chose as a theme of exploration. But how this idea of the neutral place and the positive and negative energies that exist or are experienced within physical reality express themselves in the physical reality is quite fascinating. The idea of what you consider to be matter and the constituents of matter that make up your physical reality, what you would call the subatomic particles, so on and so forth, also do express this idea of the Trinity within their basic fundamental structure. First and foremost, most simply, you have, as many of you know from taking certain classes in your school, that an atom is generally made up of three components. You have the positively charged proton, you have the negatively charged electron, and you have the neutral neutron. Aptly named, don't you think? However, what you may not realize is how apt this structure is, how expressive it is in a very specific and precise way to the idea of the energy patterns that we've already described. Many of you may not realize that a neutron, if, shall we say, left to its own devices, a free neutron not connected within an atomic structure, actually breaks down into a proton and an electron. So the idea is that the neutral particle is neutral because it is made up of, in a sense, positive charges, negative charges, and it expresses these things and manifests these things as the two seemingly opposite elementary particles of the proton and the electron. And because it contains both charges, that's why it is also able to be attracted to the proton or attract a proton to it, as well as the electron, because the neutron, shall we say, has kind of layers to it energetically. Now, understand, of course, what we are saying is somewhat euphemistic, but it's a good way to illustrate the point. The neutron, being neutral because it contains both charges, does this in a particular way, sort of like a layer cake. Because the proton cannot be attracted to another positively charged particle easily, the neutron must attract it. If it is to attract it at all, it must have some kind of a charge with which to do so. So the skin of the neutron, so to speak, is actually negatively charged to attract the proton. But it is also in its body positively charged to also attract the electron. So it does double duty in that way and creates and gives structure to the concept that you call the atom. Now, because it is able to break down into the proton and the electron and a few other things we won't go into right now that are, for the purpose of this illustration, somewhat superfluous, you begin to get the understanding that the neutron, in a sense, is a little bit bigger than both of them. It has, in your scientific terminology, more mass than the proton. Way more mass than the electron, of course. But it contains both, so it has to, in a sense, be more massive than both, so that when it breaks down, there is a sufficient amount of mass to express the proton and the electron. So the idea of the neutral state, energetically speaking, in your life, in your experience as a state of being, is similar. The idea is that the neutral state contains the potential for both a positive and a negative experience based on the meaning that you give to the neutral situation that is there to begin with. Now, in another transmission coming up in what you would call your near future, we're going to go more deeply into the idea of exactly what we mean when we talk about fundamental neutral states. For that transmission will help you understand how to identify neutral states more clearly and thus be more capable of infusing them with the positive or negative meaning that will then result in the idea of a positive or negative experience. But for now, it is sufficient to understand that this neutral state, like the neutron, contains the potential for both, and it is actually exemplified in physical reality by the very fact that the neutron itself is capable of breaking down into both physically. Now, let's look a little bit at the electron. The electron is representative of the idea of the negative energy, and of course, when we talk about it as an energetic state, we're simply talking about the idea of that which is disconnective, dissociative, segregative, so to speak, whereas when we talk about the positive energy, we're talking about things that are integrative, expansive, connective, so to speak, as a mechanism. But also what's associated with the negative energy that we have discussed many times with many of you are the idea of negative beliefs. As we have said, belief systems, both positive and negative, must do something to perpetuate themselves because they're not really real. Physical reality is not really real. In a sense, it's a projection, it's a dream, it's an illusion. So the belief systems are designed to perpetuate themselves in such a manner as to make it seem as if the reality that they depict, the definition of reality that they depict, is actually real, so that you can have an actual solid physical experience. But when it comes to the idea of positive beliefs, the positive beliefs are reflecting to you the true nature of your being, the true, powerful, self-empowered, creative, loving nature of your spirit, of your being, of your essence, of your existence. The negative belief systems, in a sense, have to work much harder than the positive beliefs to get you to buy into a scenario that is fundamentally not true about you. Because you are basically creative, positive beings, essentially. So in order to get you to have an experience that is negative, it has to tell you things that are fundamentally lies about yourself, and it has to reinforce those lies with every trick in the book that it can muster, every tool in its kit. Otherwise, you would see right through the smoke and mirrors and know that it is just an illusion, and that what the negative beliefs are telling you about yourself has to be, by definition, false. So let's look now at the correlation, at the analogy in the electron. The idea of the atomic structure, as you understand it in your society now, is not so much the exact classical representation of a tiny little particle orbiting around the nucleus in a very clean sort of way, like a planet around a sun. No. That's kind of an outdated, old-fashioned way of representing it. It's good as a general illustration. But you now know, your physicists now know, that the electrons sort of exist more in what they term a probability cloud. That is, you're never really sure exactly where it is. It's whipping around so fast. It's somewhere in this hazy cloud that surrounds the nucleus. Somewhere in there are a bunch of electrons, but where they are, we don't know until we take a measurement and freeze where it is. But then you don't really understand exactly what its path has been, because you're freezing it into a static state. But when it's moving, you don't really know where it is at any given moment. So in a sense, it is similar to the idea of negative beliefs in that it creates this sort of ambiguous, fuzzy cloud that you can't really get a grip on. And it fools you into thinking that there are certain things going on that are really only probabilities, really only potentials, and not really very solid at all until you yourself decide that you're going to take a particular idea, a particular definition, which is the same thing as an observation or a measurement, scientifically speaking, and in taking that perspective and taking that measurement, then you get what you designed the perspective for. You get what you designed the measurement or the experiment for. That's the result you get. So the electron does exemplify and does represent the way in which negative beliefs work, in that they're kind of fuzzy, you're not really sure what's going on, they tend to hide in your unconscious mind, so you can't make it easy to find them, so you won't let them go, because again, this is their way of perpetuating themselves, telling you lies and telling you more lies, and using tools like fear to prevent you from finding them, so that they can continue to get you to believe that what they're telling you about you is true when it's not. So that is a general correlation, whereas the idea of the proton, being the positively charged thing, being in a sense more easily observed because it is the very nature of the element you're looking at itself, it is the very identifying energy of the elements themselves, then it's easy for you to see that directly. It doesn't have to hide, it doesn't have to confuse you, it doesn't have to fool you one way or the other. It is just telling you what you are. It is telling you what is. It is showing you your nature. So when you're looking at an element, let us say, for example, gold, or let us say mercury, you are really looking at the protons. That's what you're looking at, because it is the protons that determine what the element is. So they're easy to see. But the electrons, those sneaky little electrons, very tiny, buzzing around in their little B cluster cloud of probabilities. I'm over here. No, I'm not. I'm over here. No, I'm not. I'm over here. No, I'm not. Fooled you again. Shows you a direct correlation between the idea of the way the energy states themselves exist and the way that they actually crystallize down through your consciousness into the expression you call physical materiality. The trinary idea extends itself further because, as your scientists have discovered, or as they have created for themselves to perceive, even the idea of some of the so-called subatomic particles like the proton have other particles within them that you have called quarks. And those quarks generally also come in threes, which again shows you the Trinity aspect of the existence of that energy. Again, the duality and the neutral place in between. This does not have to be completely absorbed at this time in this way. You don't necessarily have to have any kind of a physics degree to absorb and understand this. It is simply something for your consciousness to look at with curiosity, let it sink in, and let the idea of the energy states and the structures that they appear to create that you call physical reality have a lot to do with each other, are really just different expressions of the same thing. They're just different expressions of the state of being that is existence itself, expressing itself on all levels as that Trinity. The only level on which such trinities don't exist or dualities exist is what we would call the one. That is the homogeneous one state where there is no differentiation whatsoever, but because there is no differentiation, there is also no experience, no awareness. It takes the all that is to be aware of itself. It's the first reflection to itself that there is the appearance of an other that creates that idea that starts splitting into the, well, there is this, and there is that, and there is this relationship in the middle. So really, the neutron and the neutral state that give rise to the experience of the positive and negative sides, the proton, the electron. The neutron itself and the neutral state is actually more precisely the reality that you call reality. Whereas the projections that come from it are the reflective illusions based on the information you have put into it, such as a positive meaning or a negative meaning, a positive definition or a negative definition. But the neutron and the neutral state is actually what you are as an existence, as a reality, and everything is contained within it, and everything can be expressed from it. Does that make sense to you? All right. So, just let that sink in. It's a little bit of physics fun. At this time, in return for the gift that you have given us in allowing us to experience each and every one of you, I ask now, how may we be of service to you? You may begin, if you wish, with your questions and dialogue.
Originally, we will continue the transmission in the following way. Allow yourselves to relax. Focus your attention on the center of the holotope. You may begin with your music and patterns of light as we guide you across the bridge to 2013 and beyond. The holotope before you, circular, with a central point, becomes the focal point of all of your consciousness, existing in the here and the now, and only in the here and the now. All other concerns drift away. All other concerns drift away, fade away, dissolve. Focus only on the bridge, on the tunnel, on the pathway before you. You are standing in the center of this tunnel, infinitely stretching behind you, infinitely stretching ahead of you. All possibilities reside in this tunnel, in this bridge, on this path. This tunnel is full of many different experiences, many different doorways, many different choices, many different mirrors and reflections of all the different ways that you can choose to be. But the mirrors that will shine brightest, that will reflect brightest, are the ones that reflect the true light of your natural core vibration, your core being, who you truly are, the frequency of unconditional love of all that is from which you are made. Living light fills this tunnel, and all the reflections shine back to you to light your way, to guide you, to allow you to feel that you are made of light. Frequencies blending, cascading, rippling, overlapping, radiating from your central core, out through the tunnel in all directions, to what you call the past and what you call the future, even though those are all here and now. Allow yourselves to know that as you gaze upon this central point, a point that leads to infinity in this tunnel, you are gazing into the eye of all that is, into the mirror that reflects you as all that is. And you contain all probability, all possibility, all potential choices. Allow yourself to simply be in this tunnel that stretches before you with infinite possibility. Just be here, just be now. And as you allow yourself to relax in the center of this infinite tunnel that stretches behind and before you, you begin to feel a vibration, a sensation, as the light reflected from all the mirrors that line the tunnel wall amplify and magnify and vibrate and scintillate and sparkle within you, and give life and light to the spark in the center, in the core of your consciousness. And you feel that vibration begin to build up. And as it builds up within you, as it amplifies, as it magnifies, you begin to vibrate higher and higher and higher, and higher frequencies begin to dominate until they burst forth in both directions, behind and before you, creating a line of continuity, an unbroken, infinite line of light, blazing, laser-like light, stretching out before you in whatever color you wish it to be, in all colors if you wish it to be, in invisible colors if you wish it to be. The light of your path, the light of your true self, guiding you unerringly, the compass needle pointing to infinity along your unique path, down your unique bridge and tunnel. Unerring, unwavering, constant, and indestructible. And as you now allow this light to pierce you through and through, you begin to feel yourself lifted upon this beam of light, floating in the center of this tunnel. And you begin to move down this tunnel, pierced by this line of light that passes through your solar plexus, the chakra of intention. And you are vibrating, pulsing, humming with energy. And you begin to accelerate and accelerate and accelerate and pick up speed more and more and more and more. But even as you begin to move faster and faster and faster down this tunnel, the sensation that envelops you is the sensation of floating in perfect stillness, as if you are not moving at all. And the sensation begins to transform, as if it is not you moving down the tunnel, but the tunnel moving past you. That you are floating perfectly still, yet moving at infinite speed. For moving at infinite speed is exactly identical to the sensation of being everywhere at once. And if you are everywhere at once, filling this tunnel from beginning to end, then you are standing perfectly still. And the tunnel collapses into you, and the light collapses into your being, and you just contain all of infinity, the entire bridge, the entire tunnel within your being, within, vibrating, spark, a burning star within your being that contains all you will ever need to be who and what you truly are, to express yourself in all ways that are truly representative, truly reflective of your true self. Let the vibrations course through you. Let them scintillate in you. Let them ripple throughout you. Feel the music of the light harmonizing within you, singing the eternal song of all that is, here and now, forever and ever, infinite, one and all and one. Knowing what you need to know, when you need to know it. Synchronistic downloads of information and energy, always being given to you, always being gifted to you by the higher mind and the source of all that is. And you, now becoming aligned with a higher frequency to allow yourself to become a perfectly receiving antenna of light and love and knowingness in perfect balance and perfect harmony with your higher mind and all that is. Breathe deep and let it out. Breathe deep and let it out. Breathe deep and let it out. And feel harmonization throughout your being. You are the essence of all that is, the seed of eternity. You are everywhere, every when, here and now. You are the very experience of life and existence itself. You are a flower blossoming forth and shining upon yourself and growing towards the light of your own being, opening, expanding, fulfilling and fulfilled in beauty and balance and peace and love. Breathe it in and make it your own. Allow it to rearrange any pathways within your being in whatever way will allow you to become more conductive of this light and accelerate this bridge through yourself at whatever speed, at whatever rate is comfortable for you, to recognize the shift, the awareness of the infinite shift at whatever rate translates best for you, and to know that it is always there for you to access. It is always in you, within you, up to you, made of you. It is you. You are the light, you are the love, and it shines forth from within and is reflected back by the higher mind mirror as an eternal guide of unerring quality and unerring precision. You are the path you're on, and you cannot be off yourself. Be at peace, be at ease. Dive into the wonderment of creation. Explore and fear not, for all you will ever discover in the unknown is more of who you are, for that is all there is. One and all and one. And every choice shall be in the service of the best for all. Take a deep breath in and make it your own. And know that 2013 and all the orbits beyond are all manifest here and now in multiple parallel realities, and you shall shift through the series of those that is most you. Unerringly, the maps are all within you. The conversations are all within you. Straighten your question marks into exclamation points, and you shall know what you need to know when you need to know it. Trust the timing of your lives. Trust the unfolding of your lives. Whether you know it or not, you know what you're doing. Be at peace. Be at ease. Be one with all that is. Take a deep breath in and make it your own. Crystallize, catalyze, and allow your imagination to be your guide. Soften your music, soften your lights, and slowly,